What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Combat Chain. Pat Shaw here, and I am going to bring you a Blitz deck tech. We are going to go over the Briar deck that I brought to the Battle Hardened in New Jersey and have been on for some time. I'm constantly fine-tuning my deck as we go, but if you know me, you know that I have an affinity for Briar that has gone all the way back from Tales of Aria pre-release, where she was the hero that I chose in my pre-release. Went 3-1 with her in my only pre-release there, but piloted Briar in Blitz through many armories, skirmishes, took down the Fighters Guild on Briar, top forward the kitchen table skirmish on Briar. So I've had a lot of fun for a while with her, both CC and Blitz. So today we're going to focus on the Blitz. We're going to talk about how I've built her, some of the configurations for different heroes. We'll go over some matchups, and we'll just get to know Briar a little better and why I love playing her so much. And hopefully you take from this that she is worthy of your time. And we have the world premiere of Uprising coming up on June 10th, and there is a Team Blitz calling happening that weekend as well. And maybe Briar is one of the heroes that you could choose. That might be a wrinkle that people aren't expecting. So let's go to the top down. So Briar's Errata says the first time an attack action card you control deals damage to an opposing hero each turn, create an embodiment of Earth token. Very important to note that this says the Errata is the first time, right? So if you hit with an attack and you miss your embodiment, that's a miss trigger, and your opponent can stop you from getting that if you want to take it back. You've seen a lot over time that on casual level events, usually if someone misses that trigger, it's okay to put it back. But as you go up into higher level competition, it's very important to pay attention to your triggers and when things like the embodiments are able to hit the field. Briar's second line here is one of the most important ones. The second time you play a non-attack action card each turn, create an embodiment of lightning token. Embodiment of lightning token says when you play an attack action card, destroy embodiment of lightning and the attack gains a go again. This is one of the more broken mechanics, hero abilities in the game, because this embodiment of lightning has no restrictions other than attack action card. So you can make cards that don't have go again and were never meant to have go again have it, and that makes Briar and her deck especially dangerous. So those are her embodiments right there. Now let's do a little dive into, we're going to go over equipment first. First up we're going to talk about is the weapon. There's only one weapon in the inventory for here, and it's Rosetta Thorn. Once per turn action, pay 1 attack. Whenever you attack with Rosetta Thorn, if you played an attack action and a non-attack action card this turn, deal 2 arcane damage to target hero. Most powerful weapon in the game. It's a token rarity. Every Rune Blade runs it for obvious reasons. It essentially reads pay 1 attack for 4, and it's mixed damage, 2 arcane and 2 physical. That 2 arcane is 1 instance, so null rune 1 is not enough, right? AB1 is not enough to stop it, and that is incredibly powerful an ability. That mixed damage is what wins games. So it is it's a vital part of the puzzle, and it is the only weapon that we'll be using with Briar. Getting into equipment, we'll start with the chess piece here. The chess piece here, we're going to run Bloodsheath Skeleton. That's right. Bloodsheath Skeleton is legal in Blitz. It was suspended in CC until Viscerai Runeblood hits Living Legend, but you can absolutely pop Skeleton down and run it as the chess piece. And for just about every matchup, we do, in fact, just put the Skeleton on. Next up, we will be running Grasp of the Arknight. It is... not only is it a 3-block, it creates a rune chant, which we'll get into why that's important. It helps filter your hand with the 2-cost, and it's a block 3. Block 3 rune chant and hand filter. That's why we run Grasp. Next up here, Arknight Skullcap. Arknight Skullcap is a legendary. Head equipment is generic. I'm sure everybody knows what this does, but if you don't, if you have less life than the opposing hero, Arknight Skullcap gains +1 armor and arcane barrier 3. So if you have a lower life, this reads base 1. This will go up to base 2. So if you have lower life, this is a 3-block as well. Sometimes you see these 3 pieces out, and it is referred to as the fridge, the mini fridge. That's right, 2 block, 2 block, 2 block. This is 6 block across the board. Miss it dearly in CC, but in Blitz we get to have it back. And our leg pieces are the Snapdragon Scalers. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. There are some builds out there that run Spellbound Creepers. Spellbound Creepers you really have to build around. This isn't that deck. I've tested into it, and it's more cute than effective. So for what we're doing here, Snapdragons is the most effective leg piece, and we will very rarely change this out here. This is our base suite here, Rosetta, and these 4 make up our basically our stock equipment loadout. This is run in just about every matchup here. So let's talk about some of the other equipment that we run. We have Null Rune Boot. We have Null Rune Robe. We have Crown of Dichotomy. And we have Shock Charmers. These 4 make up our Wizard, specifically Arcano sweep. Still working on what to do with Icelander. That is a tricky hero, and we'll definitely have to be trying to hone that down a little bit as before Uprising comes up. But specifically for Kano, we are running AB3 with 3 pieces of Null Rune, head, chest, and legs, and we're running Shock Charmers, which has Spell Void too. So combined, we can stop 5 arcane damage in one swing, which is more than an Aether Wildfire, it's more than a Sonic Boom, it's more than a Lessons in Lava, right? They have to put a lot into the Aether Wildfire to get it over to 6, and we won't happily take one, but the ability to stop 5 arcane damage in one turn is vital to our survival against Kano in Blitz. So that's our anti-wizard equipment suite right there. We are going to be running Findel Spring Tunic. This typically will go into Oldham and OG Bravo in matches that you think are going to go long. This is your fatigue. This is your fatigue matchup chess piece. So you can get the resources continually over time. I will not fault you for just staying with the chess piece for the extra block to stop crush effects or on hits like Okanold there. So really, this is up to you. It is there in case you want it, but this is a very much a personal choice to have there. I like running Bloodsheath more often than not. Every once in a while, I'll put the tunic in. Last but not least, we have Vexing Quillhand. Vexing Quillhand is a extra piece right now. I'm not entirely sure with where this should go or how it should be applied. We don't have Sonata, so it's not like we can act like Viscerai and Break It and Skeleta to get a quick discount off a big spell like that. It does have some potential application in that realm with a few of our spells, but not in practice. It doesn't feel great. It does have the Arcane Barrier 1, so the most likely scenario is that this comes in potential mirror matches, or if another Rune Blade comes back that cares a lot about rune chants, this is in here. And potentially this is probably, this might be what we're looking at for Icelander as well. Either that or Grasp and maybe Crown. Definitely at least the AB1 to stop the her weapon there, right? Pitch 3, 1 arcane if it deals 1 arcane, and draw a card for however much arcane you dealt. Very sneaky good value coming from that. So the Icelander, like I had mentioned, is kind of a puzzle yet to be solved by me. So until then, this can be something if you have a preference to something else. If you're one of those people that like to run Reaping Blade to stop the life gain, Valda and Oldham in Bravo sometimes like to have that life gain. So if you want to run Reaping Blade in there, that is perfectly acceptable. If you'd rather run Aether Ironweave as a chess piece but keep Bloodsheath and Tunic, maybe you have a specific use for the Ironweave, then you can throw that in there as well. But Vexing Quillhand is really a placeholder for me right now. All right, next up we are going to talk about the first half of the super important stuff, and that is attacks. We'll start with Blue Autumn's Touch. Autumn's Touch is not banned in Blitz, so we can take out Burgeoning. This is a blue pitch earth that blocks for 3, as opposed to a blue pitch earth that blocks for 2. This could be something like a Sow Tomorrow, but Sow Tomorrow stinks, and I don't like it. So the 3 block is very important as well, because of the limitations brought on by the new Errata. Blocking isn't as efficient as it used to be, so we did get punished in CC with the Autumn's Touch ban as well. So again, just like the Bloodsheath Skeleta, this is the best choice. You need the attack for the ratios, and the blue pitch earth 3 block in particular is super important. Every other attack in the deck is a red, and most of them are 0. So we run 2 red Ravenous Rabbles. I don't think these need any introduction. They're 5 go again. You reveal the top card of your library. It gets -X, where X is the pitch value. If you're living the dream, you're hitting Gourd Tone, which we do run, and you get X's -X is 0, so you can hit for a 5 with go again. We are running ScarfScar. ScarfScar is 0 cost 4 attack. If you have less life than your opponent, it gains go again. I am not above taking a damage on turn 0 to turn on Skullcap and to make ScarfScar have go again. Infinitely harder when you're dealing with wizards or KO. It's an OG attack. It's in a lot of decks. It fits perfectly in here. We care about our 4 attack breakpoints. We run 2 Entwine Lightnings. Entwine Lightning's getting a little out of vogue lately, but it is still a 0 cost 4 attack with the ability to gain go again, which is super important. It does need the fuse to gain go again. We do not have a ton of lightning cards in the deck for the fuse, so it doesn't happen very consistently, but the accumulation of embodiment and lightning tokens more than makes up for the inconsistent fusion. Now we have 2 lightning surges. Now lightning surges is a lightning attack, so you can use it to fuse with Entwined Lightning, and is pretty much what you'll see for the most part if Entwined Lightning is fused. In lightning surges, Lightning Surge reads that if it's played from Arsenal, it gains Go Again. The ability to naturally have Go Again makes it super important. It makes it better than Entwined Lightning. But it does have that condition that needs to be in the arsenal, but so it can have Go Again on its own, and that's makes it super valuable. Again, this happens a lot more often because you are constantly working on arsenal management. We'll talk about that shortly here, but it's very common for you to put this in your arsenal. It's very common to have Go Again, and also off the embodiment of lightnings. So the first thing we're going to do is start with 2 Swarming Gloom Veils. Swarming Gloom Veil is famous in Visceri at this point. It says, if you've played or created 1 or more auras this turn, Swarming Gloom Veil gains Go Again. If you've played or created 2 or more, it gains +1. If you have played or created 3 or more, it gains, when this hits a hero, they can't prevent arcane damage from sources you control. Now, Briar has 4 total aura sources, but the first 2 are Embodiment of Lightning and Embodiment of Earth. The two cards that just naturally happen with Briar. If you have 2 non-attacks and create an Embodiment of Lightning, you give Swarming Gloom Veil Go Again. If you've created both an Embodiment of Lightning or an Embodiment Earth this turn because you hit with something else, then Swarming Gloom Veil is a 0-cost 4 attack with Go Again. Another aura that is constantly being created is a Rune Chant through Grasp of the Arknight. Being able to pitch a blue, create a Rune Chant, and then come in for 3 Go Again is one of the things that really make the late game shine when you're down to just that basic tempo race. Swarming Gloom Veil for 3 Go Again and an Arcane can be back-breaking when you really need that Go Again. Swarming Gloom Veil has a lot of crazy interactions with some of the other non-attacks that we have, specifically Force of Nature, because if you did something like create an Embodiment of Lightning, you've created 1 aura, but if Swarming Gloom Veil hits while you have a Force of Nature out, it creates an Embodiment of Earth, and you can stack the triggers so that the Embodiment of Earth comes in, so even after it's hit, the Embodiment of Earth comes in, makes Swarming Gloom Veil a 4 attack. Force of Nature sees that its attack is boosted and will give you the card draw, even though you only dealt the 3 damage. So there are a lot of crazy ways to play and manipulate the board and make Swarming Gloom Veil do a lot of dancing, and it makes it a great card. A very admirable replacement to Ball Lightning. Next up, we have Snatch. Old school Snatch, right? 4 Go Again, 0-cost 4 attack. If Snatch hits, draw a card. No one wants you to draw a card ever. This is the card that forces blocks unless they feel like they've got the nuts. And when you combine this card with some of the other crazy things Briar has, this is always an auto block. And when you can get it tall enough to dodge their blocks and get the card draw, you're usually in a position where you're drawing 2 or more cards from the hit, and it is brutal for your opponent and allows you to create some really crazy lines with the multiple card draw. Next up, we have Enlighten Strike. Enlighten Strike, I'll say in my previous versions before the Plunder Run bans, I did not like running Enlighten Strike. I thought it was too slow. I have my opinions on Enlighten Strikes and Redline aggro decks. I don't think it fits. But for now, it is too good to give up when you combine with everything else that you're doing here. The utility of Enlighten Strike combined with an Embodiment of Lightning makes it brutal, right? The ability to draw a card with Go Again without having to try to pick multiple modes or anything like that is super valuable. The ability to boost it to make it a 7 attack, go again, right? All these modes become better when you just add go again to it naturally. So your 2 non-attacks into an E-strike, it replaces itself, replaces the card that you sync away anyways when you do card draw. The buff works with Force of Nature just on its own because it is 7 is greater than its base attack. So it has a lot of utility in Briar and has really made itself irreplaceable. Next up, we have Exude Confidence. Exude Confidence is good in a lot more matchups than you might anticipate, and it is good enough to. We're in Blitz here where we don't sideboard in and out. If we did, Exude Confidence might be the ones that come in for certain matchups, but because it's a 40 card format with no sideboard, Exude Confidence stays in. This is your anti-guardian tech. You talk about those fatigue matchups with Oldham's running 80 defense reactions. Once this is out and you can keep this on the combat chain, those defense reactions are done, right? And that is a valuable thing. Every once in a blue moon, its instant becomes relevant. We do run a fair amount of blues. We are a channel mount heroic deck, which means we have to have the blue earth pitch to keep channel around, and Exude Confidence is a great card to exploit some of those hands that you might have some extra blues floating around for you draw into with some of your other card effects. So Exude Confidence is a great card. You can get it over the top on things, and when you give it go again with the embodiment of lightning, broken things happen, and if you can start one of your big channel turns with Exude, it is really hard for Guardians to come back from that. Last but not least, we run a singleton Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer is it's just a straight up, it's a good card. It's a 2 cost 6 attack. It's our only natural popper if someone's running Prism, but this really really hurts people who are running their arsenal. This takes tempo away from people on Blitz. If you get this up, giving it go again is especially brutal, right? These cards here, right? Enlighten Strike, Snatch, Enlighten Strike, Exude Confidence, Command and Conquer are cards that were never meant to have go again. So when you put it on, when you give these cards go again, it just makes them super broken. And Command and Conquer is no exception to that. 6 attack defense reactions can't be played, and if Command and Conquer hits a hero, destroy all cards in their arsenal. Now we're going to talk about the non-attacks. These non-attacks all serve very specific roles in the deck, and this is where you have, I'd say, the most flexibility in your build, but also it really is dictated by your play style, how you like to play the game. So these choices are fine-tuned after a ton of games playing, and they help me play the game to the best of my ability. So this is why I choose the ones that I do. So starting off, the pain for the obvious one is Channel Mount Heroic. Go again, attack action cards you control have +3 attack. Channel Earth at the beginning of your end phase. Put a flow counter on Channel Earth, Channel Mount Heroic, then destroy it unless you put an Earth card from your pitch zone to the bottom of your deck for each flow counter on it. It is an Earth action aura. So if you play this into a Swarming Gloomveil, this enables Swarming Gloomveil to have go again, which is crazy. We talk about needing Earth cards into the pitch zone. Bring it back to Grasp of the Arknight, where you can pay 2. Grasp of the Arknight, pay 2, create a rune chant. Sometimes that means when Channel Mount Heroic's house got a flow counter on, you are pitching perhaps another red into a blue to get 2 cards in there. Otherwise, looking at paying for Rosetta or Command and Conquer can also be ways to get cards in there. But Channel Mount Heroic makes makes this deck great, right? Without it, you have a regular Cheerios build, which does have legs, but this isn't what we're doing. Adding +3 onto a 4 attack makes it 7, right? So in order to stop it from hitting you, it is more than 2 cards or a defense reaction in cards, right? We're talking cards and equipment, or 3 cards, something that it breaks the math of the game. Right, having that in play and then a 0 cost attack for 7 is something that people aren't comfortable seeing. And this is why I love the deck so much, because you can, if you have this on board and then 4 attacks, that's 28 damage. That is more than lethal in Blitz. So Channel Mount Heroic is the heart and soul of the deck. Go here. Next up, we have Plunder Run. Plunder Run, legal in Blitz. Some people don't like to admit that. We run 2 reds and a yellow of Plunder Run. We were running 2 yellows, but that slot got taken up. So we do perfectly fine with 3 Plunder Runs. Some people argue that it is too slow in the current meta. I think that is a holdover from from Viserai Blitz. I do think that it has plenty of room to stay now, and especially in Briar. One of the most broken things about Briar was its interactions with Plunder Run, and that does not change here. Being able to bring a Plunder Run from Arsenal gives something +3, and for the rest of your turn, the next attack action you control that hits, you get to draw a card. And you can play multiple Plunder Runs onto the battlefield at once. You can create an Embodiment of Lightning, and you can threaten multiple card draw on hit. So I mentioned earlier about bringing Snatch in. So Plunder Run from Arsenal giving something +3, and an additional Plunder Run followed by a Snatch is an Embodiment of Lightning. It gives it Go Again, so you're coming in for 7 Go Again on hit draw, right? Unless your opponent is a maniac, they are putting everything in front of it that they can, and if they're smart, they're putting more than that in there. Now, if you have a channel on top of that, that's another +3. You're up to 10. And if they're smart, they're respecting the Lightning Press, which gives it another +3. And we know back, working all the way back to U.S. Nationals kind of day, double Plunder Snatch into Lightning Press is what makes Briar one of the broken things that draws 3 and just makes your turns ridiculous. So Plunder Run is it's one of the best cards in the deck, forces blocks, and is outright just a good card. Next up, we run 2 red Captain's Calls. I believe one of these actually took the yellow spot here, and it took one of the other spots that is coming up here. Red Captain's Call gives something Go Again that otherwise wouldn't. We actually don't run a ton of cards. In fact, we don't run any other cards that just give something Go Again. So you can draw into a clunky hand, right? You can draw into a single attack action, or a single non-attack action, and then 3 attacks that don't have Go Again on them for whatever reason, right? Exude, Snatch, and a ScarfScar, and you're above in life, right? That is actually very hard to negotiate. So we run 2 Captain's Call to basically, when we need to, we can play Captain's Call, give something Go Again that didn't have it already. And the red one in particular, because it gives everything other than the Autumn's Touch Go Again, including Command and Conquer. So that's why we're running reds. But it is vital to keep things going, especially if you draw this late. This enables you to go non-attack, attack, Rosetta for 2 and 2, which is super important late to be able to chain a non-attack attack into a weapon strike for 4. And if you can get this, right, if you need this and can get it, oftentimes that'll win you the game outright. We run a single Revlon Blood. Revlon Blood is a fantastic card. We run one for 2 reasons. We run one because it is a conditional, you need to have the attack and the non-attack. But when you run this basically says create 4 rune chants and give your next attack go again, right? Because of its condition that you have needed to already play the non-attack and attack. If you follow up that attack with a revel, you create an embodiment of lightning, and that is super broken to be able to come in with an additional attack on top of the 4 rune chants. Because it is conditional, though, sometimes it gets stuck, right? And a double revel is super great, but feeling like you need to revel to no effect sometimes just to have a non-attack with go again to trigger Rosetta, it's just feels bad. So we run a one of because we usually can meet the condition when it comes up, but we don't want to get them stuck in our hands. Or being forced to play them without being able to generate rune chants. So for that reason, we only run the 1. Okay, next up is nimbleism. Nimbleism says the next attack with cost 1 or less you play this game gets +3. This has been a Briar staple since the very beginning, and no change here. This makes all your 4 attacks 7. It makes Swarm of Gloom Veil 6. It's 1/2 an embodiment of lightning, and it doesn't cost anything, right? 0, 0, 0, 0, 3, right? See a familiar pattern here. We run Gourd Tone. Gourd Tone says draw a card, right? It doesn't have any pitch value. Makes Ravenous Rabble a 5 attack. If you flip it, doesn't have any blocks, but 1/2 an embodiment lightning, drawing a card, super important, super valuable in Briar. When other heroes are running it, it can be interesting. If you know that they're running it, then you definitely want to hold off on doing that. You can't pitch it, but it does become kind of a game of chicken at that point. Who can put their Gourd Tome down second and draw the extra card? But an invaluable piece. It's legendary, so you can only run 1. Otherwise, I think people would run a bunch more. But a solid card, especially good in Briar. Feels like it's almost made for Briar. Okay, getting into the blues, we have Force of Nature. Now, Force of Nature and Channel Mount Heroic create a combination that is usually game-winning when it occurs. So Force of Nature says, Force of Nature is a Briar specialization, and it has Earth Fusion. Whenever an attack action card you control hits this turn, if its attack is greater than its base attack, draw a card. If Force of Nature is fused, your next attack this turn gains +1. So by itself, this if you are able to fuse Force of Nature and put this down, it gives your next attack, which would be basically a 4, most likely a 4 attack, turns it into a 5 attack, and if it hits you, it draws you a card, and this lasts for the entire turn. If you combine that with Channel Mount Heroic, every attack you put onto the chain now has a draw on hit effect to it, and that is a game-breaking, game-winning combination. You can't always play Force of Nature, ideally, right? So when it's not being able to be used, it's a blue pitch. It is a 3-block. Channel Mount Heroic is a 3-block as well. That becomes super important. With Embodiment of Earth, these are 4 blocks, which is stops a Winter's Wail by itself, right? Super good. Okay, next up we have Tome of Harvest. An additional cost of playing Tome of Harvest, you put your card from your arsenal onto the bottom of your deck, and then you draw 3 cards. Tome of Harvest most of the time says blue pitch Earth to help out with Channel Mount Heroic in some way. Or it says create a rune chant and attack with Rosetta for 2 and 2. But when you have the card in Arsenal and have the Tome of Harvest, it can be incredible. Drawing 3 cards, like some people argue the value of it. You need another blue pitch in your hand, and you'll play Tome of Harvest, which is 1/2 an embodiment of lightning. But you're playing that, losing that card from your hand, losing a card from Arsenal, and pitching a card. So you're losing 3 cards, but you're drawing into 3 cards as well, right? So you're not getting a lot of advantage out of it. per se, but you're filtering those cards, right? So drawing into the 3 cards that you need are great, right? Especially if you had 3 non-attacks, right? You arsenaled one, you pitched one, and you played one, and you have your channel out. Drawing into 3 attacks can change the complexion of your turn in a heartbeat. So it's not always correct to play, but when it is fantastic. So that's why we run Tome of Harvest. Next up, we have Weave Earth. Weave Earth very rarely sees play on the field. This is another Earth action blue pitch card that helps turn on Channel Mount Heroic and keep it there. The elemental cards are really just Entwine Lightning. That would get the buff, and that is... I believe that's about it, actually. So yeah, Weave Earth doesn't actually do a ton, but it is there to be a non-attack action if you need it. It turns on channel, and like everything else here, potentially Rune Chant and Rosette. Moving on, our last non-attack action, we run Earthlore Surge. Earthlore Surge may seem a little clunky at first, so it's a blue pitch. Next attack action card you play this turn gains +3, has go again, blocks for 2. The big thing about Earthlore Surge is that even though it's a 2 cost, it is an unconditional. The attack action card does not have to be any certain kind. It's any attack action you play this turn gains the +3. So beyond being an Earth action, this one has a lot of utility to help boost an attack in a jam, whether that's Command and Conquer, Snatch, something that you need to go tall. Earthlore Surge really helps with that. Again, like Tome of Harvest, for the most part, this is pitch to channel to turn it on or keep it there, or Rune Chant and Rosetta, or some other such thing for pitching away that card. It very rarely comes into use, but when it does, man, it's really great to have that card in there. Last but not least, we run 2 instants, and those are Lightning Presses. Lightning Press, a target attack action with cost 1 or less, gains +3. This is a game winner right here. This is your win con more than anything else, right? You're trying to set up an untenable position for your opponent to have to block super tall, but have to play around the Lightning Press. And when you have the Lightning Press and they can't block around it, then you win the game. Lightning Press also is what makes cards go over the top and helps things like Plunder Run turn on. And get your card draw, Force of Nature. It turns on the attacks for Force of Nature. It does a lot of things. It doesn't block, so having 2 Lightning Presses in hand at the wrong time is really crappy. But otherwise, a great card, a great addition to Briar, and again is one of the main reasons to play this deck is to fool around with Lightning Press here. Briar non-attack actions. If you notice, everything except Force and Channel are 2 blocks. So your embodiment of Earth and being able to create that becomes super important because it turns your 2 blocks into 3. Without the if you get blocked out and can't create an embodiment of Earth, if your opponent has cards left in hand and enough to really clap back, things will hurt you. 2 block is super inefficient, and it's not a great spot to be in. So we want to be constantly we want to be constantly hitting with Briar and getting those embodiments so that if we need to block, we can block either effectively or super effectively, right? With one of our base 3 blocks that turn into 4 blocks. All right, let's talk how to play Briar. At its heart, and the most straightforward thing is channel Mount Heroic out and then chaining multiple attacks together, right? If we present something like this and we we reveal off the top that it's a red. We're talking about 4 attacks for 4, 3 of them presumably with Go Again, right? We wouldn't play that without it. But with Channel Mount Heroic out, this is 28 damage. And it's not always going to happen like this, but this is just representative of, what do we want to do in an ideal situation? How do we get there? If all there was to this deck was channel plus attacks, right? It's a meme, right? It's a one-trick pony combo deck that doesn't do anything else. I am a firm believer that this deck can kill effectively, and it can do so without Channel Mount Heroic. So how do we do that, right? So we know that we want to get Channel out. So when the opportunity is there, we can get there. But what do we do in the meantime, right? Let's talk about what we do in the meantime here. Tempo is king when it comes to Briar. So that means that we have to take that into consideration from the very beginning. And that starts with the die roll and wanting to go second more often than not. There are very few reasons I want to go first. But I'll go first against Kano to stop Kano from killing me immediately. I will go first against Prism to make sure that auras aren't dropped on me that I have to clear out immediately. And generally we'll go first into like Oldham or something like that, just to make sure that they're not able to, get that dominated. Oldham, Bravo, you don't want to get that dominated attack to the face turn 0, so typically go first there. But everything else, Blitz nowadays is it's a murder fest, right? Still is. Still, everyone needs to kill and kill quick. And one of the most important things you can do as Briar is deal damage first. And in order to do that, you need to go second. Now, let's talk about what that means to go second, okay? Going second does mean that your hands will typically be a little clunky. There's a lot of 2 blocks, and that means that your blocking is going to be inefficient. If we take a look at this hand here, actually, this looks actually pretty good. There's 3 blocks and a 2 block. That's great. So going second means that no matter how good your hand is, you're likely going to dump that, right? If you like your hand and you're against somebody like a Dash or something like that that's going first, that puts an item out and puts Steam's counters on instead of attacking, all the better. But a wise man once told me that if you love your opening hand and are going second, then you should trust the rest of your deck as well to get you back to a point where you have a hand that you like as much as your opening hand, because you will put this in front of everything and block and be done with it. So that means those good cards all go away. Once you've blocked that opening salvo and you draw up, the next important thing here is you want to be the first to deal damage and then put a card in arsenal. Since you're going second, you want to be able to deal damage. So you have 4 cards in hand. So realistically, what you're looking at is putting a non-attack, an attack with Go Again, and then either creating a Rune Chant Rosetta or just Rosetta, pitching your 3rd card, and your 4th card goes into the arsenal because you want to have that set up. Briar lives and dies by arsenal setup. Okay, more than anything else, more than channel, more than force, having a 5-card hand is what keeps Briar alive and what keeps you on tempo and keeps you moving forward. It is usually never correct to just attack with your last card in hand and not arsenal it unless it's a channel turn or it is presenting lethal or is doing something else. Otherwise, arsenaling the card and setting up for your next big turn is going to be correct 90% of the time. So this is this is a really great example of a potential hand that you would have. So we're looking at Lightning Surge and Twine Lightning, a Weave Earth, and a Force of Nature, right? Pretty crazy stuff right here. Realistically, on your turn 1, you're not going to empty your hand right here. You have a couple choices on Arsenal, but I think the obvious one here is probably going to be your Lightning Surge. So that means your Force of Nature or your Weave Earth is probably going to say goodbye, right? This seems a little crazy to hold on to not hold on to, but like we are setting up for that next turn in that 5-card hand. In order to keep things going here, realistically, we are looking at a Weave Earth for 0. Right, we're going to attack with an Entwine Lightning. We're going to fuse that with a Lightning Surge to give it go again, right? And now we're going to come in for this is 6 go again, right? On hit, create an embodiment. So we can come in for 6. They can choose to block it or take it. Given this amount, they still have to really think about it. Most likely, they're going to take that. So you're going to create an embodiment of Earth. And then you have your action point, and knowing that you're going to arsenal a card, I would be arsenaling the Lightning Surge. So the Force of Nature gets pitched, your chain gets broken, you're going to create a rune chant, and you're going to Rosetta for 1, 2, and 2. Right, so you've presented, this turn has presented 11 damage. They're either going to take it and be at 9 after 1 turn, right, over half their life total, or you've taken cards out of their hand and maintained that tempo, right? So assuming either or, however they chose to interact with that is less relevant to the fact that you were able to do it. When you close up, you're going to arsenal the Lightning Surge, and now you have a 5-card hand. Now from there, right, now you're not going to have Channel Mount Heroic, so what are we doing now, right? Now we get to be creative. So we're going to look at this hand here, right? What are we doing with something like this? All right, depending on what your opponent has done in response to that first attack here, you're really debating on whether or not, so there's a couple different things that you can do, right? The greedy play here would be to Captain's Call. And, and a greedy isn't necessarily wrong here, but we just want to see the different lines, right? Captain's Call, right? You have another non-attack in your hand, but it's Plunder Run. So you could choose +2, right? And this is, right, what's the greedy play here? Captain's Call and then Plunder Run from hand threatens card draw, creates an embodiment of lightning, which gets a little redundant because of the natural go again from the Lightning Surge. But your Lightning Surge comes in for 6 go again on hit draw. Your opponent may or may not be thinking about the Lightning Press at this time, but it is presenting another 6, and we know that the Rosetta could be coming in. So now we know that at the very least that's 11 coming through again, right? And if they took that first 11, they hit back or something like that, and you've kept your hand, then they have to worry about what's going on here, which means that let's talk about what this really means here. The Plunder Run is card draw, right? So Plunder Run not coming from Arsenal means you're not getting the buff into the +3, which is super good when you can get it, right? So you can threaten card draw here with the Lightning Press. It already has to go again. So depending on what your opponent does here, they're going to commit resources or they're going to let it through. Obviously, if they let it through, you don't have to Lightning Press. But depending on how well they block here, 6 block really baits them into a simple 2 block hand, or they might throw a piece of armor in there. It is very unlikely that they'll block for 9, and if they do, I think all the better. And get the card draw. In this case, E-Strike. E-Strike is a great arsenal target here, which is fantastic to see. Creates the embodiment on the hit. That was there already, but creates the embodiment. So now you have go again still. You have your embodiment. You have a card to put in arsenal, and you have your blue. And now you can pitch, create a rune chant, which breaks the combat chain. And you can Rosetta for 2 and 2, right? So you've presented another 9, 5, another 14 damage in a single turn. And that's the greedy play, right? If we run this back, right, we can still progress and do some damage and set up for a big turn next turn. Because we can absolutely, we know that we're going to have go again on the attack. So we can still Captain's Call to give +2, and we can still attack with a Lightning Surge for 6 go again. There's no one hit, so they have very little incentive to block. So they're going to come in, we're going to come in for 6. And being able to pitch that, creating a Rune Chant, and attacking for 2 and 2, that's still 5. That's still 11 damage. So the greedy. So when I say this is greedy, right? Doing everything that we did there only added the 3 damage, and we still got a card from Arsenal. We still got and we drew a card that we can put in Arsenal here. But we know that the plunder run is worth more coming from Arsenal here. So if we're able to keep the Lightning Press and the plunder run in our hand, we know that after this turn is done and we close the combat chain, right, we can Arsenal this plunder run. If we Arsenal that plunder run, that's going to be a huge boon to us, right? And we're going to draw our 3 because we have a Lightning Press in hand, right? We're really set up here to do, and we're going to have, right, this isn't bad, E-Strike, Nimbleism. We drew E-Strike, Nimbleism, and Autumn's Touch. Right, so because I have a card in Arsenal, we're really threatening a lot coming into this next turn. And as long as we can keep putting cards in Arsenal like this, it puts us in a very advantageous position, right? So we can play this plunder run from Arsenal. Now we're going to Nimbleism, right? And this is some of the stuff that we can do here. That's a lightning embodiment of lightning, so your next attack has go again. I think the easy, right, the very simple. So there's 2 things that we can do here. And right, we can... It has go again already, so we know that. So we're definitely going to sink a card. And we're going to sink this Autumn's Touch right now. I think that's probably your best bet. I don't think you're going to be pitching that right now. So you're either going to choose the +2, or the draw card. When it has go again like this and you're already buffed it by 6, I think the draw the card is probably your best bet no matter what. So we're going to draw into a plunder run. So we're going to draw into a plunder run. It's not great. It's not the worst. And then we're coming in for 11, right? So now we have the Lightning Press. But you can see, even with the plunder run, you can kind of see where this is potentially going, where you have another card you can set up in Arsenal. 11's a really difficult number to block. Hypothetically they did. We got the Lightning Press. So we know with the plunder run, that's a card in Arsenal anyway. So no harm in using the Lightning Press. Hold on to it if you need to. If they block that out, you're still trying to get the card draw, right? So we draw into that. And now we have Gourd Tone. Not the worst thing either. We can see if we can extend this line. Let's Gourd Tone, draw into a Snatch, sure. Okay. Now they've already committed, right? If they blocked all this, they're very likely you have no cards left in hand. So this is like a big turn for you. If you've done 11 and 11, and now you're coming in for another, right? This was 11 plus 3. Here's 14, and now Snatch. This is either all their equipment or they can't stop it, right? If they can't stop it, it's easy to break Scalers, give it go again, and draw into another card. Unfortunately, that's not a great number either, but we can easily pitch that into Rosetta for 2 and 2. So look at this. We've presented 14, 18, 22 damage on this line here, right? This is the power that Briar has, and there's no Channel Mount Heroic. No matter what, you're presenting more than enough. And you can still Arsenal a card in Plunder Run and draw up with a 5-card hand. Right, the turn kind of looks like it kind of plays itself out, right? So depending on what your life total is, Actually, with this particular one, it doesn't really matter. But so, you're on plunder run from Arsenal. There's +2. There's the captain's call. It gives your embodiment of lightning. So go again. So it's easy +2 there. So you're gonna give something +4. So right, depending on what your opponent is doing, it either doesn't matter that it's an exude confidence, or the exude confidence is perfect, right? Against guardians, now you're coming in for 8. Go again on hit draw. They can't use instants or defense reactions while it's not being blocked. So if their hand's clogged up, oh boy. And 8's one of those numbers, right? It's multiple cards and or armor to stop that from happening, right? If we draw into something like a Ravenous Rabble, see, it's just how things get crazy, right? So if that hit, that all happened, now you can Ravenous Rabble, revealing a red, 4 go again, right? And now you can ScarfScar. You're likely at a higher life total at this point. But here's another 8, 4, and 4 is here's 16, right? It's a casual 16 with a card in hand that I can arsenal, right? These are great turns that don't involve Channel Mount Heroic or an Earth card at all, right? These are powerful turns that make Briar great, and the blues really just add to the utility, being able to attack for 5 with Rosetta, essentially with the extra rune chant instead of just the 4, can really be the difference maker sometimes. Well, let's talk about the nuts. So what am I talking about when we say the nuts? We're talking about, right, the combo, the thing that everyone wants to do, right? So we have channel, force, an earth card, and an attack. And in arsenal, we have snatch. Right, so what do we do here? We're going to force a nature. We're going to fuse the blue. We're going to give the next attack +1. We're going to channel. We're going to pitch the blue. That creates an embodiment of lightning. And then we have some choices here. The most logical thing to do is to keep, I think you keep the swarming Gloom Veil in your hand for now, and you attack with the snatch. You attack with the snatch for 8, go again, on hit, draw 2, right? 1 from the snatch, 1 from the force. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, that this hits. We'll reveal 1. Swarming Gloom Veil comes in. You've created 2 auras, so that's 4. It's coming in for 7, go again. Let's say they block that. Now you have a lightning press, that's fine. Press it, draw. Okay, exude confidence, not bad with the blue. Now we're talking. Exude confidence for 7 on hit, draw. Let's say they block 7. Pitch the blue, make it 9. React. Let's give it a go again. See where we go. All right. Not the best, but we came in with 8. 7, 3 is 10, 18. And 9 is 27 damage turn. 27 damage. We have go again. We could come in for another 5. Pitching a blue to create rune chant and a Rosetta for another 5. So 27 plus 5. Here's a 32 damage turn. Your opponent's at 20, right, to start. That's 12 over, and they might have 6 armor and 12 block. Plenty more than lethal right there. And that's the power, right? So that's the nuts. And I'm not thrilled with this, but 3 attacks is actually, I'm probably just being greedy at that point by not liking that. But this is the kind of thing that is what makes the deck great. This is what brings it over the top against some of those more powerful heroes like like Oldham. Right, we can, if we know that they're fatiguing, we can set this up, right? So what does that mean exactly? It means that I want to see channel, and I want to see Force Awakens later in the game. So if I have other things that I'm doing, so if we have other things that we're doing in the meantime, right? And let's just grab 2 cards. That's fine. Let's if this is something like my opening hand, right? If I have this is crazy that I got those 2 again. I shuffled up. So if this is my 4-card hand and I'm going up against Oldhim or something like that, and I know that they're control/fatigue, right? If I have something like that, it doesn't do me a lot of good to do this right now, right? I want to set up for like a massive thing. So realistically, what I'm probably doing here, right? How do we pitch stack for Oldhim? I'm going to take these 4 cards and I'm going to pitch a red. I'm going to pitch for Grasp of the Arcanite. I'm going to pitch a red and I'm going to overpitch a blue, float 2, create a rune chant. Gives my Swarming Gloomveil go again. Attack for, I can do that and move on with my life with these cards. And now these guys are, you can put them however you want, but these guys are now on the bottom of your deck, right? We don't have a shuffle effect here. There's no sonatas, so you can effectively pitch stack in Blitz. And now you're just playing that long game. You're going to draw 4. And now, our strategy at that point is to get cards that we want to see there. So we didn't have, we had the Channel Mount and the Force of Nature. We have an Earth card in hand. So, what does this turn now look like? This is pretty straightforward. This is effective and sets us up for the long game, right? So we can go... we can go Nimbleism, Captain's Call, right? Create an embodiment, right? This is all super effective stuff for us. Might not go completely over the top, but we're going to Snatch from Arsenal. Great. This is great stuff. This is coming in for 5 + 4. We're coming in for 9. Go again, on hit, draw. This is going to force things out of their hand, and that's fine. With Oldhim, you're probably not going to break through, but you're going to pitch that Earth. You're going to pitch that blue Earth card after they block, and you'll do another. Here's Rosetta and Rune Chant. This is more cards they got to pitch away for either Null Rune, or they're gonna, you can leak through this damage, right? They're gonna take 2 or 3 of this if they're not trying to completely negate it, but that costs cards to negate. Now you have your Lightning Press, you can Arsenal. And now you have a blue pitch down there, as well as your Force of Nature and your Channel Mount Heroic. So let's talk general strategy here. So we know that we want to go second because tempo is king, right? We want to deal damage first. We want to take cards out of their hand, force them to block. We want to be constantly on the offensive. We want to do things to draw cards. And we don't want to give cards up. One of our biggest strengths is our equipment, right? We can block for 6. We're saying that we can kill you quicker than you can kill us, right? So as often as we can, as often as is allowable, we'll take the damage, right? Less than lethal means that you have an opportunity to swing back. There are a few exceptions and things that you got to be aware of, right? Steelblade Shunt is out there. And if you're in the wrong spot after, if you swing with Rosetta at the wrong time in the wrong spot and you're at 1, Steelblade Shunt can kill you. Against Rhinar, getting to 2, right? Reckless Swing can kill you at 2 as a defense reaction. Going up against Chain, Invert Existence, non-attacks and attacks in your graveyard. They're everywhere, right? Invert Existence can take you out at instant speed. But other than that, if they're just straight damage, you can take. All right, let's talk about the Kano matchup. Here's our equipment that we do for Kano: Crown, Null Rune, and Shock Charmers. What does that mean? We have AB3 plus Spell Void 2, which means we can block 5 arcane damage. Aether Wildfire is 4. Right? Sonic Boom, I believe, is base 3. Lessons in Lava is base 3. All those can be pumped up by Crucible and Metacarpus nodes at the right time. They have to destroy Metacarpus nodes in order to get that second buff. So Aether Wildfire would be max 6, Sonic Boom 5, and Lessons 5. I believe I have that right. So we have We have 10 blues, right? 40 card deck, 10, 1 and 4. 1 in 4 chance of drawing a blue. When you're up against Kano, you're very likely, unless you have extra blues in your hand, you're holding one of these back. Right? If you draw into 3 attacks and a blue, right, you're holding on to that blue. All right. If they don't have anything, they'll block. If they do, they'll wait till your hand is empty and then unleash hell on you. But if you hold that blue back, they'll wait. For the most part, right, we're built to do this because the blues are usually pitches. Anyways, a lot of Arcane Barrier can be a trap for aggro decks. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for this deck tech. Hopefully it is helpful and gives you some ideas on how to play Briar in Blitz and opens some eyes on why I like to play it. Don't forget to click the links below here, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please, our podcast, the Combat Chain Podcast, is available wherever you stream your podcasts on all platforms. You can help us out by following us and supporting us on Patreon at the link below, and also at the TCG Player affiliate program. If you click our link or use code TheCombatChain at checkout when you buy cards at tcgplayer.com, that helps us out as well. All right, guys. Until next time, I'm closing the combat chain.